There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Fellowship of Spirit Zoom meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. We are here in the sanctuary as well as on Zoom, and we are in Farmington, New Mexico. My name is Ron Holloway, and I want to welcome you to our service. We have an exciting program today. Mark Wolf is going to be speaking for us. Jenny Jones is going to be doing our spiritual reading. Margaret Cheesebro and her sidekick Steve Parker are going to be playing music for us, and it will be enjoyable, it will be informative, and your life will be enhanced by you being here. And so we thank you for showing up and helping us to continue to worship and to enjoy life. So let's start off with a prayer. So who wants to do a prayer? Bill, would you come and pray for us?
Good morning, one and all. We are grateful for this opportunity to gather, to be here in the name of the one unity God that we have, to bless us, to guide us, to be with us each and every day. Please help the things in the world that are good continue, and the things in the world that are not so good to be gone. We are grateful for all the blessings we have in our life. Amen.
Thank you. I would ask everyone to keep in our thoughts and prayers the people of Afghanistan, because they're really having a hard time there, and it's a mess. There's no blame. It's just that there is a human catastrophe that's happening. It's just bad. So let's send them our love and our light and our best wishes. Any announcements, Jerry? No general announcements. Okay. This is our statement of faith, if you'll follow along with me. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. We have a song. It is number 213. But I don't have the. Where's my microphone? Got it?
Sort of. Let me entangle here. Okay. Got it now. Test. Did that work?
Can you hear it?
Test. Okay.
Let me ask you, can you guys hear us all right? You are hearing it.
Can you hear this? All right.
We're not hearing it through the TV, are we?
This doesn't have a switch on it, does it?
No.
They're giving us thumbs up.
Okay.
No, the people are hearing us.
I can't see.
Whoops.
Said the blind man as he picked up his hammer and saw.
Right. Thank you, Margaret.
Okay, you ready?
I'm
Here
ready
we
as I'll
go.
be, yes.
All right, thank you, Jenny and Steve. We really appreciate your efforts. I didn't mean Jenny, I meant Margaret and Steve. Margaret and Steve. All right. There we go. There we go. So it is now Jenny Jones is going to bring us our spiritual reading. Go ahead, Jenny.
All righty. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So this is from a woman named Mayana Welty, and it's called Lamas, which is August 2nd, I guess, is midsummer, but I'm doing it now. The world is full of pageantry, of beauties in many forms. The world is made of shiny, outrageous gifts. They pour out of the earth, out in the fruits, the trees, the birdsong, in the fluidity of our uniqueness, in the genius of our hearts and minds, and in the rewards for our diligence. The gifts move through our bodies, our laughter, and the generosity of the breath we share. There is no harvest without celebration. We receive what we have been given, what we have worked for, and what has been shared with all the creative abundance we can muster. Generosity moves many ways. It is the giving, yes, and also in reception, also in the wonder that we share about what can exist, also in the reflection we offer to each other, complex in all our parts, celebrating the wholeness of self and others. Take pride in this abundance. Care for it by reveling in its strength and possibility. Be a love letter to generosity, exploring every inch of its beautiful ways. Come together in service and joy. Amen.
Thank you, Jenny. That was wonderful. Appreciate it. Okay. We have Mark's biography. Let me see. I got it right here. Okay. Today we have Reverend Mark Wolf is going to be our speaker. Mark Wolf is no stranger to the Fellowship of Spirit and has been a guest speaker here since 1995. His spiritual path has wound through Theosophy, Wicca, several flavors of Christianity. Yeah, also the Jewish faith. He studied Kabbalah at the Karen Center in Atlanta and completed ministerial training with Religious Science International. In 1996, Reverend Mark was among the first ministers ordained by Fellowship of Spirit. He was later initiated as a disciple of Yogananda in Los Angeles and founded the Inner Light Center in Durango. Since 2002, he has been a student of the Kabbalah Center and the Zohar. He is a Scottish Rite Freemason and currently resides with his son and daughter in Kentucky. Let us welcome Reverend Mark Wolf.
Does that help? You can hear me. Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. You know, once again, I'm very honored to be the speaker for you, to share the light with you. And the thing of it is, when I left Farmington 3 years ago to go to Florida, what an adventure that was. But I didn't think I'd ever see you again. And yet here we are. You know, the thing of it is, in many ways, the things of the light, the things of the angels are more real to me than the table and chair in front of me. And since I was just a little boy, I've had a passion to know God and to share whatever light I found. And so this morning, you do me the great honor and the great favor of affording me a place to share the light that I have found. For truly, we'll visit with this in a few minutes. If there is nowhere to share and no one to share with, then our lives and experiences mean nothing. This morning, I want to share with you what I hope will be a provocative and thought-provoking message about the difference between free will and predestination. This morning, we are going to wrestle with destiny. And what I want to share with you is part of a conversation that I had with my brother about 3 years ago, you know, when I was living there in Florida. my brother and I were sitting at the kitchen table late on a Saturday evening, and my brother surprised me. He blurts out, "What's the use? I mean, what's the use in anything? There's no such thing as free will. How can there be any such thing as free will when God already knows everything that's going to happen? And if God already knows everything that's going to happen and everything that I'm going to say and everything that I'm going to do, then we're just basically acting off a script that's already been written." My answer surprised him. It was not what he expected. But that's what I want to share with you this morning. Now, part of this morning's message is inspired by an amazing book that I'm pleased to recommend for you. This is, it probably displays backwards. This is Kabbalistic Astrology by Rav P.S. Berg. Now, this is not just another book of sun signs and rising signs and that kind of thing. We don't need another book like that. Kabbalistic astrology is an entirely different way of looking at astrology. It is an entirely new paradigm. And if you've never been exposed to Kabbalistic astrology, you're in for a treat. I have no interest in astrology, but this was fascinating and I really loved it. And this is available at Amazon as well as Kabbalah.com, which is KABBALAH.com, Kabbalistic Astrology by Rav P.S. Berg. Okay, so click here to skip the ad. Okay, so the question this morning is simple, but it is profound and has far-reaching effects, and theologians have struggled with this idea for centuries. Do we really have free will? I mean, really? And how can we have free will if everything is already completely known in the mind of God? If my next step is already known, then how do I have free will? And if we do have free will to choose, does that mean that God is clueless about what's going on? I mean, are we prepared to believe in a God who has essentially said, I have no idea what y'all are doing. No clue. I would appreciate if y'all would straighten up, but I have no idea what y'all are doing. Now, here's the thing. The answer is hidden down in the Torah, down the Torah. But to find it, we're going to have to wrestle with destiny. Seriously. Now, let's get started. When I was a kid, I had a passion for mythology. I went through this mythology phase for 2 or 3 years. My elementary school library had an entire series of books, 24 books on world mythology. I read them all. Okay. My favorites were always the myths of the Greeks and the Romans, as well as the myths of the Vikings. And so it's not surprising to me at all that my teenage daughter would now have a deep interest in Greek mythology herself. Now, here's the thing. In many ways, the mythology of cultures around the world was remarkably similar. Just the names and the places were changed. To everyone except for the Vikings and the folk of Northern Europe, which was a very interesting exception, but to everybody else, the gods and the goddesses were immortal. Okay, and they lived on top of the mountain somewhere near the sky, and sometimes they were very interested in human affairs, but not always. So you never knew. We read about this in the Bible. If you want to jot some notes down and take a look at this later, I'd encourage you to do that. And if you're doing that, jot down 1 Kings chapter 18. In the Bible, in the book of 1 Kings chapter 18, we read that sometimes the gods were simply unavailable and could not be reached. In other words, sometimes the gods, and in this story it's the Baalim, the gods simply put a do not disturb sign on the door. And so the prayers and the needs of their worshipers simply went to a voicemail that was never checked. Now, to the Greeks and the Romans, the gods were very much like human beings, except that they were immortal. You know, they ate, they drank, they quarreled, they liked things, they didn't like other things, they got married, and they were never faithful to their spouses. Never. And they had children, they had grandchildren, they played around with mortals and immortals alike. That was the Greeks. Now, a TV series that I really enjoyed on DVD. We have to go here. We have to go here. It was simply called The Vikings, and it starred Travis Himmel. And it's set in the 8th century, and so it's fairly dark and brutal. in an 8th century kind of a way. But it's very well done and mostly historically accurate. And when it's not, they'll tell you. And a very interesting thing, they'll just go ahead and tell you, a very interesting thing that they do in probably the first 3 seasons is they portray the tension between the old gods and the emerging one God. But an idea that they return to many times is they wonder what's going to happen. How do we know what's going to happen? And say, well, Ragnar, what do you think is going to happen? Well, if the gods will it, it'll happen. If the gods don't will it, it won't. So, Lagertha, what do you think is going to come to pass? So, well, whatever the gods desire is what will come to pass. Okay? Now listen to that statement. Whatever the gods desire. In other words, I'm not responsible for what happens. Okay? I have no responsibility here. Powers beyond my understanding and outside of my control are doing this, and there's nothing I can do about it. Okay? Whatever they want is what will happen. I might win, I might lose, but the best I can ever hope for is to be a victim of forces that I cannot understand or control. And this idea is very embedded into our own culture. This is not an 8th century sort of a thing. This is in our culture today. But think about it. Doris Day, okay, Doris Day, 60 years ago, she sang that beautiful song, Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Okay. In other words, the future's out there somewhere, but there's nothing we can do about it. And if there's nothing we can do about it, then the best I can hope to be is simply a victim of powers and forces beyond my control. And the best I can hope to be, the best I can ever hope to be, is just a cheerful victim. You get it? And this was the problem that my brother brought up at the kitchen table. If everything is predestined, then whatever will be, will be. And we're just, if somebody else is pulling the strings on this, then we're just helpless puppets under the control of something or someone else. Or if I'm actually free to choose, how can I really choose freely when my choices and the outcomes are already known? I mean, where's the freedom in that? So to speak to this puzzle, we're going to turn to a passage in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, okay? And as usual, the story that we're going to look at makes no sense. I know that surprises you. But here's a rule of thumb. The stories that make no sense, the stories that are weird, that's where the treasure is hidden. Okay, rule of thumb. Now, if you're taking notes, jot down this, Genesis chapter 32. In Genesis 32, beginning in verse 24, we read the strange story of how Jacob wrestled with the angel. Okay, here's the story in brief, starting in verse 24. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go until you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "Jacob." Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome." Okay. And we come away from that story wondering what, if anything, it means. Okay. And our friends, here's the thing, our friends that don't believe in God point to this story right here is just another example of Bible gibberish and nonsense. But here's what it means. Although, as usual, there are many layers of meaning embedded in the story, it is the story of an extraordinary gift that has been offered to us. It is a gift of power. It is a gift of authority, an unprecedented authority. The gift of Jacob's new name. Okay, see, because he says, "I won't let you go till you bless me." The blessing was the new name. All right. The gift of Jacob's new name was the gift that is offered to each one of us to take control of our destiny. No longer tossed back and forth at the whim of whatever will be, and no longer at the mercy of the gods and the forces of nature that may or may not be having a good day today. But now to become actual co-creators with God, to take control and shape the future and shape our destiny. See, here's the thing. The name Israel, Yisrael, okay, Yisrael, contains within it the words wrestles with God. Okay, this is one of the most amazing things. When it really settled on me, you have to think about this. This is one of the most amazing things that my teachers in the Kabbalah ever shared with us. Wrestles with God. You see, I grew up being taught in traditional religion that I was supposed to wait for the will of God. Said, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm waiting for the will of God. I'm looking for the will of God. I'm waiting for it. And what I didn't know is God was waiting on me. Let me explain. Each of us does have a fate. Each of us does have a destiny that's already been written for us. It's already been scripted. Okay. Some people refer to this destiny as karma. And karma says, I need to learn certain things. Karma says, I need to heal certain things. And karma says, I need to experience certain things and meet certain people and suffer some stuff. This karma is written into the astrological chart that we came into the world with. All right. In other words, the short version of our natal chart is our sun sign. Okay. This is Kabbalistic astrology. I'm going to give you a taste of it. We're born under Sagittarius or Virgo or Aries, or maybe we're right between Capricorn and Aquarius, whatever it is. And traditional astrology tells us and uses our sun sign to define in very broad terms who we are. But in defining who we are, it also gives us a convenient excuse for our faults. Because it becomes very easy to say, well, of course I hold a grudge forever. I'm a Scorpio. What do you expect? And it's very easy to say, well, I'm very, very emotional. And that's why I put a shell over my feelings because, well, I'm the crab. I love being the center of attention. I'm the star wherever I go. I'm the center of every room because I'm ruled by the sun. I am Leo. Hear me roar. You get the idea. I'm a certain sign, therefore I act a certain way. And these are my faults, and you just have to learn to live with it. Okay? And Kabbalistic astrology says, no, that's exactly backwards. See, Kabbalistic astrology says that our birth sign, our sun sign, is not about who we are. Okay? Rather, it is a guide, a blueprint, a map to what we have been given to correct within ourselves, It's a map handed to us at birth to show us what we need to accomplish, not what we need to be. You see, and I'm picking on Scorpio because most of my natal chart is in Scorpio. So I'm going to pick on Scorpio. So if I'm Scorpio, for example, I need to learn how to forgive. Okay, that's what I need to learn how to do. And the light has been generous in giving me lots of opportunities to forgive things and people. Because Scorpios have a long memory. Scorpios can hold on to a grudge for decades. I suspect Scorpios can hold on to a grudge for centuries. And so having the ability to remember a hurt and continue to be hurt for decades is the destiny that was written for me. So in order to seize control of my destiny, in order to take control of my destiny, then in order to wrestle with destiny and win, it's simple. I have to learn how to forgive. You see, as long as I'm acting according to my sun sign, I'm simply playing the part that was written for me. Somebody else's script. That's predestination. But to exercise free will, I have to challenge the limitations of my sun sign. For example, we could say it like this. For example, well, my birthday is in early July, so I'm ruled by the moon. So of course I'm moody and emotional. You just have to learn how to live with it. Okay, well, that's all right. That's predestination. To exercise free will for that person who's born under the sign of the crab, we have to learn how to be more even-tempered. If the crab is going to take control of destiny, the crab has to be able to say, I'm in control of my feelings. My feelings are not in control of me. And my feelings do not determine my mood. I determine my mood. Okay? Wrestle with destiny and win. Or here's another example. Well, of course I'm obsessive about details. I mean, what do you expect? I'm a Virgo. So get your stuff in line. Okay, well, that's predestination. But to choose to let it go and not to worry about the details, to let it go and to be well with it, that's free will. That's the choice that's offered to the Virgo. Or here's a good one. Here's a good one. I'm Leo. I am the center of attention. I am the center everywhere I go. I'm the star. Okay, well, that's all right too, but that's predestination. That's living according to the script that was handed to you at birth. For a Leo, free will is choosing to step aside and help others to shine. That's free will. You see where I'm going with this? This is easy. This is easy, okay? Traditional astrology tells us who we are, but Kabbalistic astrology tells us who we need to become. Now, that takes us out of our comfort zone, okay? It's supposed to. But here's the thing, rule of thumb. Rule of thumb, spiritual awakening never occurs when we're in our comfort zone. All right? It just doesn't work that way. Spiritual awakening can only occur when we are thrust out of our comfort zone. Now, the limitations that are spelled out in our sun sign describe a part of our ego. Oh, there's that ego word. That part of our ego is going to hold us back. It's going to hold us back from the blessings and the miracles that are supposed to be ours, and it's going to hold us back from the light that's ours to share. That's its job. And that's part of the wisdom hidden within the name change from Jacob to Israel. See, Jacob represents our ego. That ego is stuck in the script that's already written for it. That ego is stuck in its comfort zone. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Jacob is the servant of the king, but Israel is the son of God. Big difference, all right? In the aspect of Jacob, we bow before God, but in the aspect of Israel, we simply stand in front of our Father. In the aspect of Jacob, we live under predestination, the script that was written and handed to us at birth. But in the aspect of Israel, we wrestle with destiny and we make it our own through our own effort. In Jacob, we act according to the karma that we came to earth with. But as Israel, we make the conscious choice to fulfill those parts of our karma on our own. See, we don't need a script. All right. We don't need a supervisor. We don't need God chasing us with a stick to make us do our work. We know what needs to be done and we do it. That's called being grown up. Okay. It's simple. Simply by looking at our sun sign, we get a list of what we need to do and we go and do it. That's the choice to have and exercise free will. In Jacob, we bow to the king. As Jacob, we say, yes, this is my destiny. This is how I am. But as Israel, As Israel, we stand in front of our Father and we say, I choose. I choose. Okay. So I'm having this conversation with my brother late on Saturday and out at the kitchen table, right? And he doesn't do astrology, so he's quite shocked by the whole thing. So my brother says, yeah, but, and you knew that was coming. Yeah, but God still already knows everything I'm going to do and say, so where's the free will? And again, I surprised him. I says, okay, yes, God knows every possible action, as well as every possible outcome. This is an important distinction. God knows every possible action as well as every possible outcome, but the specific action that I'm going to take next is not known in the mind of God until I do it. Listen to that again. God knows every possible action as well as every possible outcome, but the specific action that I choose to take next is not known in the mind of God until I do it. Now, where do we learn this? We learn this from the book of Deuteronomy. Okay, now, quick lesson on the Torah. Torah consists of 5 books. The book of Genesis is the prequel. Okay, that's the setup. We meet the characters, we learn the purpose of the story, we get all the backstory. The real story starts in Exodus, where the children of Israel leave Egypt after the first Passover. They go into the desert, they build the tabernacle, the book ends. Okay, the book of Leviticus tells what to do with the tabernacle. What is it for? What is its purpose? How do you use it? That's Leviticus. The story of the journey to the promised land is told in the book of Numbers. The book of Numbers is the story. And then okay. Excuse me. They want to know why. They say, okay, why did it take 40 years when Egypt and Israel are next door to each other? What do they do? Move 2 inches a year? Said, well, the answer to that is in Numbers. Then in Deuteronomy, Moses gives a recap of everything that happened. Moses goes through and retells the story as they're about to cross into the promised land. In Deuteronomy, Moses talks about the future, about what is to come, but Moses prophesies like no one else in the Bible. No one else prophesies like Moses. Okay. Now, most of us are kind of acquainted with some Bible prophecy, and if you're not, just Google it, and 1 million hits and a lot of conspiracy theorists will come right up. Because, you know, Bible prophecy usually goes something like this. Like, so this is Bible prophecy. Behold, I looked, and I saw a golden candlestick flying across the sky, and a red dragon chasing a woman, and the stars fell to earth as the ocean boiled. Okay. And we're left more puzzled than ever, you know, but the prophecy of Moses was entirely different, entirely unique. Jot this down. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, Deuteronomy 28, DEU 28, starting in verse 1. Moses says, and it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord your God, to observe and do all his commandments, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth, and all these blessings will come upon you if you shall hearken to the voice of the Lord your God. Okay? In other words, if you listen carefully and you do what you're told to do, then you will experience extraordinary blessings. And then it lists the things, the wonderful things that'll happen. But then it goes on, okay? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. Moses then shifts gears and he says, but if it shall come to pass if you will not hearken to the voice of the Lord your God to observe and do all his commandments, then all these curses shall come upon you. And then he describes the terrible things that will happen. Okay. In other words, what Moses is telling us is that in a very real way, the future is up to us. We don't have to sit back and say, well, whatever will be, will be. Who knows? The future is not ours to see. No, the future is ours to create. All right. We're not helpless victims of forces beyond our control. Our job is to connect to the light of God and to be responsible for taking control of our destiny and creating our future with the light. Destiny is only written in stone when we refuse to take control of it. Now, one way we do that, as I have said, in Kabbalistic astrology tells us, we go to our sun sign, we look at the list of weaknesses that are described in our sun sign, and we actively, consciously work to correct them. Say, this is my assignment. I'm going to turn these weaknesses into strengths. I'm going to turn these faults into blessings. I'm going to bring out this light and share it with the world. Now, that path will be different for each of us, because each one of us will find a different way to take those weaknesses and turn them into strengths. Okay. Now, the other way that we can wrestle destiny is given to us in, of all places, the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, verse 44. All right, Leviticus 11:44. It says, I am the Lord your God. Be holy, because I'm holy. And to ensure that we get the message, this is repeated way over at the end of the Old Testament in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 16. All right, jot it down. 1 Peter 1:16. It is written, be holy, for I am holy. Okay. What we're being told to do is to become like God. Be holy. Why? Because I'm holy. Be like me. And in order to rise above destiny, that was the destiny that was written for us, the destiny that was handed to us to act out, we have to use our free will to choose and become like God. See, that's the reason why we're told again and again to love one another, forgive one another, because to love and to forgive are what make us like God. And to love is to share. To forgive is to give. You see, that's our nature, to receive and hold on for ourselves, because this is mine. I ain't giving you none. All right. It's our nature to be afraid. Genesis 3, it's our nature to be afraid that there might not be enough. But God said, become like me. Destiny does not control me. Love, forgive, share the light and share what we have, and we become like God, having control of destiny. This is our work in the world. This is how we reveal the light that's uniquely ours. And God is waiting for us, people. God is waiting for us to bring that light into the world, because that's the light that God will use to elevate all of the earth, to take away our pain, and finally to wipe away all of our tears. God is waiting for us. El na rifana la. Thank you for allowing me to share this light with you this morning. I love you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that message. So timely and so pertinent. We really appreciate it. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share with Mark, or you do? Just come forward, unmute yourself, and talk. If you're on Zoom. Well, Mark, we really appreciate you taking the time to research this, organize it into something that is useful, and then give a great presentation. We know that those of us that have tried to do this, that It doesn't just happen. It takes some preparation. And so we appreciate your efforts in that preparation and your presentation. And we love you, brother. We do. Bill's coming to the front here.
Mark,
Hold on, let me
Bill.
get you on screen.
I always truly enjoy the passion and the energy that you bring to your talks. You know, you don't just sit, you're moving and you're bobbing and you're weaving and you're doing, and it's just really, really enjoyable. Now, getting to the meat of what you said, I believe is that, yes, we are co-creators of our life. And people that do not want to accept the responsibility for that are the victims. And so we are the co-creators, and we do have the opportunity to make choices. It's kind of interesting that you say God knows all, and that he knows all of the possibilities and all of the possible outcomes, but he doesn't know specifically which one that we're going to take. So does God really know all then?
That's a very interesting philosophical question. The answer is yes and no.
And maybe.
In that all possible actions are known, but that I could take off my bow tie, or close down the computer, or jump up and down 3 times. Those are all possible things that I could do next, and all those possibilities are known. But which one I'm going to choose to do is not known. So, yes and no.
Well, one other correlation I see is that one of my favorite authors is Deepak Chopra, and he talks about the infinite quantum reality, all of the possibilities that are out there, all of the possibilities of the outcomes, and it's the probability of which one we're going to do. And that's where you get into the habits and the behavior, is that it becomes a little bit more predictable. But yes, there is all of those possibilities out there. The best correlation I've ever thought about that is like a movie on a DVD. Every scene on that movie, it changes 100, let's say 100 times every second or 30 times every second. I don't know what the specifics are, but each one of those is a scene. They're all compacted on that. They all exist at the same time. They're all a possibility. It just depends on where you put your DVR, which one you're going to see. And so in our life, all of those possibilities are out there. It's going to be where we put our intent and our focus become the one that will become manifested in our life.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah. Also, there also is the concept of dimensions, where everything happens.
Yes.
Every choice that we could possibly make, we make in other dimensions, and so the outcomes are there also. So it's that's another way of looking at things. Jerry?
I also like that series, The Vikings, but I've also loved the mythology references that you make, because they truly are very funny references. The gods that were at one time, possibly still are. Who knows? They may be hanging up there, like you said, in that little conclave in the clouds. But I like to think that sometimes they are messing with us also, just because they can. So thank you very much. It was a very great talk, and I love the fact that we get reminded that we can choose our destiny, and sometimes we do have to wrestle it. Sometimes we have to really work hard at doing what we're supposed to want to do, instead of just saying, oh, it's too much trouble, I'm not going to do it.
And in the midst of it all, the light of God has a sense of humor.
Yeah, how does it go? Man plans and God laughs.
That's true.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I watched every scene of every show of the Vikings. I was just fascinated by Vikings, and I was really sad when it ended. Huh?
So was I.
It was on
last
the History
season.
Channel.
Yeah,
It was on the
the last
History Channel.
season wasn't as good though.
Yeah, you can
I thought-
see all of them. They're still
Once the
there.
youngest kid started being the big guy, I thought it went downhill, so.
It did.
It did.
I agree, but I was still hanging on every
Yeah.
scene.
Well, we
And then-
saw them all too from the beginning, so.
Mm.
But I was
and then-
gonna say to you, Mark, you were talking about destiny, in my constant sense of humor, right? as I remember Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder, right, from Young Frankenstein. Destiny. Remember that? Okay.
I should watch that again.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Jenny wants to talk. I thought you said you just sent a thing out.
Right.
Okay.
This is Gaia, and I'd like to say something. The universe, God did it again, where what we read in our book this morning, the nature personal reality, I feel aligned with exactly what you were talking about. Our Queen of Powers in the present, and we can focus on what we want. We can hypnotize ourselves with our thoughts to improve ourselves, whether it's improved health or weight or whatever. So it's really beautiful to see how the universe aligns. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing how our morning book study always follows, the speaker's theme. And today it was about that we create our own health with our consciousness, and that if we don't make an effort to manifest our health, our unconscious takes, and our fears create illness. And so that's pretty much what we studied and read about this morning, which was your message pretty much in a nutshell.
Okay, nice to summarize. And fear is predestined for us. Genesis
Absolutely.
chapter 3. We're predestined to be afraid.
Our tendencies are to fear. We have to consciously try to be out of fear, and that's where the health is and the growth, and that's where our comfort zone, if that you were describing, is, because we're comfortable with our fear,
Oh, yes.
but we're
It's very
uncomfortable
familiar.
with being fearless, and so that's it's a strange thing for us. So especially when we first start on our journey toward health and toward the light, is important to embrace fearlessness and reject victimhood.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mark, we thank you and we love you. It seemed like for whatever reason you're being able to share with us more often than you used to in the rotation.
Isn't that funny?
And we are not complaining. We are not. We enjoy your message and your presentation every time that you come before us. So thank you. All right. Let us, Steve, would you like to get our basket and our plates, and we will do our celebration of abundance at this time. Want to remind everything, if you're on Zoom, that you can still contribute financially by sending your offering to 2009 East 13th Street in Farmington, 87401, and we will receive it. Thank you. So let us say together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive through infinity. I am prosperous.
I put in a check for the whole month.
Okay. So there are 7 of us here in the sanctuary this morning, and 8 on Zoom. So there's 15 people participating today, and that's probably pretty much average. It's good. We were down a little bit last week, but some people must have finished their journey and came back, because it's good. We're glad to have every single one of you. Okay, we're now going to have another song by Margaret and Steve, the dynamic duo. And it's going to be song number 252, Flow, Spirit, Flow.
251.
251.
Yeah, that was a tough.
I was adjusting and I just, okay, so it's 251, Flow, Spirit, Flow, if you have a hymnal. If you don't have a hymnal, then I will share my screen. there you go. All right, thank you, Margaret and Steve. We thank you so much for your efforts. Also, there is preparation in their thing. I know they get together and they practice, and Margaret practices her music, her piano, and they get together and practice their singing during the week, and so that they come to us and they're able to perform, and it's really beautiful. Thank you so much for your efforts. Okay. Are there any announcements that anyone needs to make? If so, go ahead, Jenny.
I really appreciate the power of 8, because at the last minute I asked for the elders who have a greenhouse and farm and so forth. Their grandson was flown to Denver because he had to be at Children's Hospital because they thought he had leukemia. And like overnight, they sent him home. They said, no, he doesn't have leukemia. He has something that's making his red blood cells, I guess, there's too few, but it's not leukemia. And so the elders themselves said, it's a miracle. So hour of prayer. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to remind everybody that we do have Course in Miracles here at 6 o'clock on every Wednesday, is led by Susan Barnes Smith, and it's a good thing. If you're interested in Course in Miracles, I urge you to check it out. It's always interesting. They don't go through the book from the beginning to end. Susan picks a topic and then researches and has some passages within Course in Miracles to support that theme. And so it's always interesting. It's always fresh and new. And I don't know how many people are attending now. Do you know how many? There's 3 or 4.
The discussions are wonderful.
It is.
It takes us a while to get through things because we have a lot of discussion.
Yeah. Also, they don't have an agenda, so they don't have a time period of when they can do it. So they read and they discuss until their heart's content, and they don't have to meet any timetable. So there's always room for people's point of views, people's questions, and everyone's input. And so if you're interested in Course in Miracles, which we reference it all the time, please go and check it out. It is the same address as all of our Zoom stuff with Fellowship of Spirit. All of our activities are under one address, so you can always attend just using the same address that you access this celebration today. So also on Thursday evening, Margaret Cheesebro leads the Power of 8, which Jenny just referenced, where a group of people get together and we on Zoom, and we send out light and love to people who have requested our attention and our prayers. And so there has been several times that we think that our addition, our light and love to them has aided in their in overcoming whatever discomfort that they're having. Some people have, and so if you're interested in that, I suggest that you check us out at 6:30 on Thursday evening at the same address, Power of 8, and also the Course in Miracles. On Sunday mornings, we have at 8:45 we have a book study, and we are currently studying, what is the name of that book? It's a Seth book. The Nature of Personal Reality is a channeled book from 1973. And we were just commenting today how very pertinent the information is. Some of the stuff, our world has changed quite a bit in the last 50 years, but, and there's some things that are kind of a little dated, but most of the material is just as pertinent today as it was 50 years ago. So we welcome you to come, and if you can't be here, you can either come and be with us in person, or you can join us on Zoom. at 8:45 on Sunday morning. So we encourage you to come if you'd like to come. We'd love for you to be there. Is there anything else? Other than the fact that we are going to have a potluck on the first Sunday of September. And we urge you to contact Jerry Lard and let her know that you plan to be there and what you intend to bring. We hope that lots and lots of people who have not been comfortable with attending would come on the first Sunday of September, and that's what day? I think it's the 7th. Okay, but September 5th. September 5th. Oh, and her phone number is 505-716-7106. So there you go. Also, Hoyle Osborne, Jane Voss will perform The Romance of the West in song at the Aztec Museum at 7 p.m. on Friday, September 10th. They will give a free show at the Aztec Museum. All right. Is there anything else? Margaret, will you give us a benediction?
Thank you, God, for your presence here with us today. You're always here with us. And thank you for the message and the understanding that we can choose our destiny. Thank you for going with us today and through the rest of the week. In the spirit of Christ consciousness, amen.
Thank you, Margaret. So let us say in the spirit of fellowship that until we meet again, we ask that you be blessed and that you be protected by the spirit of the universe. And so until we see you again, take care.
Hey, Mark.